Hello everyone and welcome to the fourth race of the series, the first of two to be held in West Coast, as we are underway here on the purpose-built racetrack, one of two tracks that will be racing on this season in West Coast, as red has taken the lead from blue off the line. Purple, cyan and yellow also making positions here, as red goes into the corner leading the race and cyan making more positions, and black sends a massive dive bomb down the first corner and hits pink, but they both seem to recover well. Blue starts from pole position yet again for the second race in a row, but loses it straight away. His bad form continues as we go into the fourth round of the season. But Red's been on fire recently. Should have won last race but didn't due to an unfortunate incident, but still got his first podium, and now is leading the race on the first lap. As we go through the chicane, all seems well, but Cyan, who started 6th, has made up 2 positions on the first lap, a tremendous effort from him, our championship leader. As yellow goes deep and pink finds a way through the inside, but there's contact and black gets into the mix. And yellow's been bumped by black and by pink, and yellow is off. Yellow is off and spinning out. A mistake in the hairpin, with some help from black and pink, sends yellow tumbling down the order into last position. As the cars zoo down the back straight, red is making quite a nice gap for himself ahead of blue, but purple seems to be falling even further back. And so for the first time this season, the car is sitting on the front row but in second position will take the lead of the first lap, as Cyan there gets very close to the back of purple, already threatening for third place. As someone spins off in the background there, I think it's Lime, not the start he would have wanted here in West Coast USA, down to the bottom of the order, except for yellow, who should be coming through right now. I think yellow must have sustained some damage from that crash earlier, as yes, you can see yellow zooming through, and yellow's got smoke and yellow's gone straight off. Yellow will find herself into the tyre barrier in the gravel trap, and I'm afraid that is race over for yellow already before the first lap is even finished. The second time that he's done that in 2 races now in a row. Watching from blue at the start here, our pole sitter. See, he gets a decent launch, but red just zooms past beside him with a far better start and much more pace into the first corner, and there's nothing that blue can do about it. Just has to watch helplessly as red easily takes first position at the start of this race. Watching on board with Cyan now, who starts in 6th position and instantly gets past orange here, zooming through as orange has to precautionarily brake as not to rear end green there, and then Cyan just outbrakes green and zooms through the inside into 4th position. A very good start from Cyan. He'll be looking to challenge for points and high points, as he's on 2 podiums in a row now. As we watch pink, yellow goes deep, pink finds a gap in the inside, but then yellow comes back at pink and gets past, but then black hits yellow, which unsettles yellow, and then pink does the final blow, and yellow goes careening into the wall, suffering race-ending damage. And I'm sure pink also has some damage because they had heavy contact there. As we watch it from yellow's perspective here, we see yellow going deep and struggling to get the cars turned around. Pink shuffles their way through, losing a mirror, and then yellow keeps in position with black hits, sending yellow into pink, and then the wall, suffering race-ending damage that wasn't allowing yellow to brake. And I haven't seen pink yet, so I hope pink's okay. As we jump back to the live footage, and there you can see pink trundling around, seems to be okay, as red, blue, purple, cyan, all the leaders there go through the Big Dipper, one of my favourite corners in this whole circuit. You can see pink, pink's gone deep, pink must have some sort of damage there. Let's see if pink can keep going, or else pink will have to retire. Lime starts his comeback, having lost a lot of ground from the spin. He'll be hoping a lot more people make mistakes in this race, as red and blue are very close there, starting the second lap of this race, but the top few cars remain as they were. And we can see pink getting back on the road and racing again, but at a very reduced pace. I wouldn't be surprised if pink gets slapped before the end of the race, so I think we can expect a 9th finish for him, unless something drastic happens and there's more DNFs. The leaders there going bumper to bumper through the first couple of corners, blue right on the tail of red, already with shattered glass on his windscreen. Seen some action, I guess. It's been an interesting start to this series for blue, because he's always been fighting for the top positions, but hasn't even received a podium, let alone a win. In Hiroshi Raceway, he was taken out when he had a very good chance of winning. He was in the lead for most of the race. In Jungle Rock Island, he got spun straight off the start, nothing he could do about that. But then in Spa, as we can see, red makes a mistake there and blue gains a lot of ground. As I was saying, in Spa, blue took Cyan out and itself, ruining Cyan's chances of a victory, but Cyan still managed to get second after a chaotic race and taking blue out. And then in this race, blue has started on pole again, like Spa, but lost the lead off the first lap. Let's see if he can turn that around and get a win. Purple sits in third. It's very crucial for him to get good points in this race because he is last in the competition by a mile. The next car ahead of him is doubling him in points or more. So he really needs to get going here and score some good points, as we can hear the rumble of yellow's engine in the tyre barrier. Different cars taking different lines through this corner. That's very interesting. Black and Cyan going wider as well as line there, but orange hugged the apex of the corner there. As the leaders of a race approach the Big Dipper, affectionately named because of how steep the chicane is, and very hard to navigate if you're driving, but these AI are professionals, believe it or not, despite how much they crash, and they can make it easily and make it look very easy. But if you really want to test it out and see how hard it is, go ahead. It is not easy, no matter what car you drive. As orange spins, and orange is going for the wall, doesn't hit the wall, just very fortunate there, but will be sent to the back of the order bar Pink, who is already most of a lap behind. But this is a big setback from Orange, who was doing so well in the start of the season, but now will be sentenced to the back of the order. No red flags and only one driver out in the opening stages of this race. I think we call that a success. It's been still very interesting to see how these cars go, especially in this challenging circuit with so many chicanes and a really long straight at the back of the track here, but it's definitely one of my favourites, and I'm sure it's going to produce a really good race. It's one of two tracks we're going to be going at over West Coast USA. We are planning to visit this venue twice a season at the moment of our 16 race season, and the second race is still up for debate. I'm considering racing through the city with a custom layout there, or we could race on the island, or we could potentially even race through the hills, which is my favourite, near the quarry there. But all of them are very good options, and I guess we'll have to rotate them through the seasons if there's not enough spaces, or even extend the season. So far this season is planned to be 16 races long. I think I mentioned that earlier, but there's still a lot of racing to come on all sorts of tracks, whether they be tracks from real life, official BeamNG racetracks, or custom street circuit layouts through the many roads on the BeamNG maps. Blue's been getting close a couple of times through the back part of this track, but it's very hard to overtake in this lower section, even through the Big Dipper, allowing red to keep his lead even when blue is looking very fast. As they drive under the bridge of a normal road, it's very impressive how they've managed to integrate this whole racetrack into a large and bustling city and town. It's very impressive. Pink trundling along very slowly, only at the start-finish straight here, and the cars will be approaching him very shortly to lap him. You can see his front of the car there is all bashed up and smashed, and he's going very slowly, but still rolling, which is a very tremendous effort considering the crashes and trials he's had. Blue here, still following red, just a little bit back. This could potentially give him an opportunity to pass red if Pink slows him enough, and that applies for all of the cars. They have to navigate Pink slowly. Pink should try to stay off the racing line, but if it's in a corner that might not be so easy, as blue gets right up the back of red there, getting very close, and the most favoured opportunity. Oh, red gets bunted by blue, and blue does sneak through, and there's contact, heavy contact, and there's further contact as red doesn't want to give up, but blue takes back the lead of this race, and then they try to get around Pink, who does go off to the side of the track there. But that's very unfortunate for red, gets it all crossed up and loses the lead of this race as Pink is getting waxed from the drivers as they drive past. I was about to say that chicane is the most favoured overtaking possibility on the whole track. There isn't really a whole lot of spots where it's easy to overtake, but that is one of the best ones, that chicane right there. And it's very similar to how yellow went out. Yellow went too deep, and then Pink found a way up the inside, very similar of red going too deep and blue finding a little gap, and the overtake was made this time without any drivers spinning out as we hop on board with black. Going, oh, green's got it all crossed up and green is spinning out and black almost hits green, but is able to slow down just a little bit. Green tumbles down the order into 8th position, which is effectively last. Black, on the other hand, has gone all the way up to 5th, which is very impressive considering that he started last. He might be doing a last to first here, who knows. But he's just been able to avoid all the chaos and carnage around him and keep it on the road. Blue's now building a bit of a gap towards Red, just as Red did to Blue, so I'm sure it can't be chased down. But here it's looking like Blue is finally having some good luck, and the stars might be aligning for him to take his first win. He should have won almost twice at this point. He had a good strong grip in Hiroshi and Spa, but lost the lead and the race in both occasions, and that leaves him 8th in the championship. As Purple goes off in the background there, a lot of drivers have been losing it lately, and it's really unusual, but Purple's able to rejoin the track just behind Line there, and we'll get a good run towards Line here actually. Might be able to make that overtake and recover a bit from the spin that he just had, but no, Line gets to pull away, and Line keeps 5th for the time being now. Line has had a bit of a quiet start to the season, in 7th at the moment, got 2nd in the first race, but the next 2 races has really struggled to pull in strong points earning performances, and ends up DNFing in both of those races, and they were both self-inflicted crashes. But the field is very close at the moment, and Lime is only 6 points shy of 2nd place in the championship, 15 points shy of Cyan, who was 1st in the championship. Oh, and Blue's gone deep. Red will zoom through the first in the chicane, which has been the overtaking spot for this track. I haven't really seen too many moves other than on the first lap and the first corner anywhere, as we see a top view as the cars zoom by. You can see how fast they're going on this back straight here. Red's bumper there sticking up. It's actually a lot worse looking than anything that Yellow sustained, but Yellow still DNF'd. Fortunately for Red here, it's just cosmetic damage and he is not affected performance-wise in any way. Despite being 9th in the championship, Red is only shy of 2nd in the championship by 10 points, which is difference between 1st and 3rd in a championship, which is what happened in Spa. He lost 1st and went down to 3rd because Cyan was still in the race. So, if he had have won that race, he would be up to 2nd in the championship, and if he wins this one, he would have definitely been challenging Cyan for the win of the entire tournament. But that didn't happen, so Red is now down in 9th, but with a result like this, I'm sure he'll find his way into the top couple of positions in the championship. It's still very close between all of the midfield there. Cyan is the only one with a really large gap of points. The cars are trying to navigate their way around Pink again, who is trying his best to stay off the racing line, and then Red is now approaching the chicane with no challenges behind him. Blue is still a fair way back. Red's been able to give himself a nice gap to the other drivers, giving him the best chance of winning. And then there's quite a big gap between Blue and Cyan. Also, as Pink makes it very difficult for Black to go around the chicane, making contact, and then also blocking Lime through the next corner as all the drivers try to get through. Pink making it difficult for Black, and Black will not be happy about that as Orange gets right up the back of Purple as they go past the slow moving Pink. Despite having an unfortunate race in Spa and ending up upside down because of Purple, who Orange is now chasing, Orange is seemingly kind of, forgotten. But the first 2 races, Orange did get back-to-back podiums, 3rd and 3rd, one of them from the very back of the grid. So Orange is 2nd in the championship, but trailing Cyan by 9 points. One of the bigger gaps in the championship. The only gap larger is Purple at the back, who is 14 points behind Red, and only getting 12 points at the moment, while Red is on 26. So that's a massive gap, and I don't think Purple will be making up any spots in the championship too soon, even if he does win. As the cars file down the Big Dipper, there hasn't really been a whole lot of overtaking action in this track, mainly just spins and mistakes from drivers, but that's okay. That's still action, and not all races can be as exciting as ones like Spa, where almost no one finished. But in this race we have 9 people still in the race, all looking like they're going to finish, despite maybe Pink, who isn't struggling, as we look from a perspective of an audience member watching the cars race past. Green finds himself very far back as we look towards Lime here, sitting in 5th. This will do wonders for Lime, who could use some points. The midfield is very close, and if Lime continues this race in 5th, then he will jump a couple of spots in the ending standings, which is really what matters. Each race result is nice and all, and wins are nice and all, but you need consistency and you need points for the championship. That's what matters most, and that's what's going to win you the world title. It's as much of a survival game as it is a speed game. That's what they say here on the BeamNG series. Might be different elsewhere, but here, keeping on the track is of utmost importance as we look towards Cyan, our championship leader, who is currently in third for the race. Third is good enough to keep his lead, I think, since red and blue were both 8th and 9th. They're quite far down. They're not really going to be challenging for the top of the championship, but they're certainly going to be up there. Cyan now approaching the hill and going over the hill down into the crest where the braking point is. This is a corner where green lost it and lime lost it, so it definitely is a difficult corner to keep the car pointing in the right direction. But I'm surprised we haven't had a really sort of bigger crash there, because the walls are all around, but the drivers managed to spin out and stop right before it. I guess because they're slamming on the brakes by that point. But in future we might see a bigger crash here, because we will be visiting this track next season. This is going to be one that's going to be staying for all the seasons. It's a classic. The top three is starting to build a gap on the rest of the pack here, as all the drivers are still relatively close to each other, but no one's close enough to make any moves at the moment. Green catching up to the back of the pack, he was quite far back last time. But the closest pair are the leaders, and it's been that way for most of the race, as blue is starting to chew through that gap that red had built on him. One of the amazing things that this circuit provides is amazing facilities. You can see amazing grandstands there, and even a VIP viewing plateau with a apartment, as well as an amazing pit structure and a bridge over the starting line, and that very cool grandstand there in a circular shape. This track has it all for equipment, but most tracks we'll be visiting don't have that, and they don't necessarily need that. Next race we're probably going to be heading towards the hills and the quarry in West Coast, where the pit lane will literally be a petrol station, so it doesn't need to be much, but this track definitely stands out among the rest in that category. Looking on Black here, who is in 4th at the moment. Black has been doing really well this championship, possibly one of the best competitors so far, because Black hasn't actually started better than 8th for any of the races. He started 8th in the first race, 8th in the second race, 9th in the next race at Spa, and 10th in this race. Claiming a very chaotic second place in Jungle Rock Island, Black made his mark there, starting from 8th I think it was in that race, and finds himself 4th in the championship because he has had a couple of crashes and a couple of iffy moments. But considering where he started each race, Black is doing really well. And we're on board with blue again, chasing red down through a section of a track that isn't really known for overtakes, but could still cause some chaos. We know that the Big Dipper is a hard corner to do, and if you're not ready for it, you will go through the gravel and spin. But yeah, red gets a very poor exit from the Big Dipper there, and blue has to readjust and slow down a little to avoid rear-ending him. As we go through the last chicane there, red spraying smoke everywhere, and blue following through the trail as we start another lap here. And then we watch on with pink, who is also on the start finishing straight, getting another lap behind from the front runners and staying well out of the way. But on the apex, pink is in the inside and is hit by blue, who now loses a lot of ground to red. This is very big for the race, and Cyan is now right up close to blue. Pink having to go onto the grass there to avoid Cyan and get out of the way, letting black through there, and lime just has enough space to sneak through. Same with purple. Pink doing a very good job to not be destructive here like black was last race, and all the cars with a couple of taps and bumps managed to get through safely, and blue was caught right up to the back of red there. Good to see him not lose too much ground due to a back marker. In between the gaps of action this race, I've been talking about drivers and how they've been going and all that, so I think it's only fair that we talk about Yellow, who is out of this race. Now Yellow's had a very interesting couple of races. Started with a win in Hiroshi Raceway, but from then has DNF'd every race, all of them being in the first lap and only because there's much more chaos in Jungle Rock Island did yellow avoid getting last there. But for the last 2 races, yellow has crashed out and been last, and for the race before that in Jungle Rock Island, yellow has also not made it through the first lap. So yellow is really struggling in the championship. 25 of its points were from the win, and the other 5 so far have been from DNFs and bad performances, and the 1 point it will gain today will not help its case in the championship. Currently standing 6th, but I wouldn't be surprised if yellow ends up 8th or 9th now after this. Obviously yellow isn't going to be passed by purple, who is on 12 points right now, and yellow's on 30, so only a win would be able to catch up that gap, and purple isn't looking like it's going to be winning this race anytime soon. As we leave green's onboard view, we should probably talk about him now. And our green has had, again, another set of interesting races. Did very well in the first race and got 4th, solid, but not in the top couple. And then green crashed before every red flag of the next race in Jungle Rock Island, but still managed to keep it going until the very last stint, where green was shunted off into the grass and couldn't continue. DNFs, but still gets 4th, which is very impressive. Green then goes on to climb the order from 9th to 1st in the first stint of the Spa race before a red flag sent the order back to the starting grid, and they were all close again, and then green was tagged by black into one of the first few corners on the first lap and was sent out of the race. Very unfortunate, but that leaves green in 5th for the championship right now, behind black and in front of yellow. We're approaching the end portion of this race right now, and we still have 9 drivers left in the race. Only 1 DNF so far, but that could be about to change. We'll have to see, but most of the drivers seem too far and spread apart to be hitting into each other. So far it looks like we might have a record number of finishes. If 9 drivers finish, that'll be the most they've ever finished a race. The record currently being Hiroshi Raceway, as we see yellow there, stranded in the gravel and the tyre area. Currently sitting in 6th, purple will be tying his best ever result, finishing in a race. He finished 6th in Hiroshi Raceway and then didn't do as well in the next 2 races. He came second last, I believe. 9th and 9th. As the leaders come through and around for another lap. There only will be a couple of laps left in this race, and they're looking very strong as the gaps between the cars at the tail of the race increase. It hasn't been the most overtake heavy race ever, but it has been entertaining nonetheless, and it's not over yet. There could still be overtakes at the front. Blue and red are very close, as we can see here, approaching the chicane, which is the most favoured overtaking zone of this whole track. As you can see in the backdrop there, the cityscape. West Coast has a massive city, and it could potentially be a racetrack next, but it's looking unlikely because the circuit would be very dangerous and very tight. A lot of elevation changes that could damage the cars. We saw in Jungle Rock Raceway, a lot of cars had their bumpers removed and they ran over them and got stuck in the ramp. These cars aren't very good at taking sudden elevation very quickly or suddenly when they're going at high speeds, so it might be best to avoid the city, but it could return in a later season possibly if it isn't picked for the next race, which could either be the hill and the quarry, the island, or the city. They're all very iconic to West Coast, so I'm sure they'll all do a great fit alongside the official raceway here. As we ride on board with black, getting a little squirrely after the main braking zone after the long straight. Black is approaching the leading 3 here as Cyan. Oh, I thought he was going past blue there, but no, it's just pink. And black looks like he's had enough of pink, shoves pink wide. Pink goes through the gravel there, and this might be the end of pink after a long period of trotting along, being lapped multiple times, and after pink got in black's way, I guess black had enough. And black shoves pink off the track, and pink will be unable to continue the race on the hill. As the leaders go through another lap, we still have about 5 minutes of racing remaining. Well, after this I think we can draw a pretty solid pecking order of who's going to be in contention for the championship this season round for the first season. I think that Orange will be up there challenging. Orange had a very strong first 2 races and has just been unfortunate in the last 2, this one included. And I think Cyan will be up there. Cyan is leading the championship at the moment, and this will be his 3rd podium on the trot, which will be the first driver ever to do that. If he finishes in 3rd this race or higher. And Red and Blue have looked very strong. Red had an unfortunate start to the season, but has bounced back magnificently in the last 2 races. And Blue has been looking strong the whole time, but just not pulling in the performances. I think Blue will also be up there for the title fight. Lime, green, orange, yellow and pink haven't really been very convincing so far, but black is the only other driver I can think of that could possibly have a shot. He just needs to start higher up in the order to have a chance at getting wins, which is what he's going to be needing to do. Oh, and it's a massive crash. Black is on its roof, and black has been smacked into the air by purple, and green makes further contact, and all 3 drivers will have big damage here at West Coast USA. And black still is rolling. Black is continuing this race, but that is the largest and biggest crash that we've ever seen on the series. Black went flying into the air, absolutely flying. Must have gone 2 or 3 meters into the air. I wonder what would have caused that. I'm sure we're looking at replays in a sec, but at the moment we're just looking at Black, who is struggling, and I don't think will finish the race, but is still rolling at this point in time. And yes, Black struggling to keep on the track there, but we're going to have to look at those replays extensively. So we hop on board with Black here, heading down to braking zone, and just loses it just like the others. But instead of them, he smacks into a wall, rolls over onto his head, then gets absolutely walloped by purple there and sent flying as green makes further contact and Black's car rights itself with heavy damage to all parts of the car. Looking at purple's perspective, Black loses it, rolls over, and bam! Black flies into the air out of sight. Purple won't even know what he hit there, but purple does get extensive damage. We watch on board with green, sees Black go flying into the air and doesn't really know where to go and smacks into Black. Both of them get airtime and both cars end up back on their wheels, but not without heavy and extensive damage to both cars. I think all of these cars will be struggling to finish the race at this point. It's just too much damage. If we watch another view here, oh, and that's big, and this shot makes it look very dramatic as the car flies through the air, spinning on its head and hit once more, and it comes to a halt. And now we have a slow-mo. We can look at this a bit closer and really discuss what caused each incident. So I think the first rollover was because of the incline of the hill, and the crash force was just against it. And then I think it's a very similar story here. The reason Black goes so high into the air is because of the hill and the angle at which purple hits Black, which causes him to go upwards instead of forwards. And then he's spinning on his head, and green makes further contact. And again, both cars get launched up into the air because of the hill angle, but this time it's a little less severe because they're up at the top of it. And then Black rolls back onto his wheels and keeps them going with major damage. The spoiler is damaged, the front of the car is completely destroyed, and the roof is even a bit dented and the windshield is caving in. The wheels look like they're all working kind of well, as we see it again from another angle. Smacks into the barrier, rolls over, nothing Black can do at this point, just the passenger. Lime gets lucky and escapes, going for a bit more of an inside line, and then purple comes charging in, launching Black into the air, does multiple spins in the air, the bonnet is flying about, and then orange gets lucky and avoids it, hugs the inside there, not the optimal racing line, but it's better than what green did here, as we can see, and both cars get airborne. Black now rolls back onto its wheels, and green and Black are free to get racing again. But that was big, biggest yet, biggest of the season, bigger than we'll see for a long time. It's a miracle that none of the critical opponents took a hit there. I'm surprised that Black was able to get rolling at all, but the engine is still running, so we come back to live footage and Black is spinning at the Big Dipper. I don't think he'll last a whole lot longer as he struggles to get back going, but it does make it back on the road, as you can hear Pink's engine clicking about there, and Black is still full sending it, still trying to catch green and purple, who also have damage. So the race might just be between those three at the back there as we jump back to our leaders, oblivious to all this action, but still far in and ahead. If Black hadn't been able to get going there, that would have been a surefire red flag there. But since nothing is obstructing the track, as Red goes and spins through a chicane, with Blue unable to get past, just gives them a little tap on the back, and now they're very close for what I'm hearing now from the race direction will be the second last lap. Once they cross the line, it is the last lap as Green struggles through a chicane, going deep and then having to stop the car to make it legally around, and Purple right on its tail. Purple lost positions in the kerfuffle of the big Black incident. Too much damage occurring on his car. Another unfortunate race for Purple. And Black was doing so well in the championship, only for it to be ruined by a costly mistake and a big crash. But there's still a battle here for the lead. Blue and Red both have really been robbed of wins before, so they'll both be dying to get a victory here. But at the moment, Red has the advantage in the lead spot, despite having more damage, but it's only cosmetic. It doesn't affect performance at all. And as we cut to Black, Black is really struggling here. As leaders go through the Big Dipper, both of them taking it well. Cyan going really deep. Lime starting in 9th for this race, finds his way up in 4th. What a great race from him. He'll be moving far up into the order for that. A great effort as the two crashes go through, and Green makes the corner fine, but Purple finds his way into the gravel. Purple still has the engine going though, and will rejoin the track and make it around as he goes past the fallen Pink. Purple has had a lot of unfortunate moments so far this season, but his poor lack of results isn't just down to bad luck, it's also a lot of skill issues. As I say that, Purple's engine dies and he's in the wall and out of the race. But as I was saying, Purple has caused a lot of carnage, spun drives around, run into them, ruined their races, so it's only fair that Purple is last from everyone. He's ruined Orange's race, he's ruined Cyan's race, he's ruined a lot of people's races, and he's ruined a lot of his own races actually, as that's very close to the leaders there. Blue almost getting past Red and making contact there. That could have gone both ways. Blue into first or both of them out, which would be very tragic at this stage of the race as they go down the back straight and into the rest of the corners, which aren't known for overtaking. As we look towards Green, who is slowing down, and that engine is off. Green is done, but it's about to be the final lap, so we won't call a red flag, and we'll just have to hope that the cars can avoid him. He is off the racing line. If this weren't the last lap, then we would have called a red flag for sure. Black still struggling with steering issues, not going on the racetrack at all, on the gravel there, and he makes the fastest corner going way slower than usual. Now there's smoke trailing out of the back of the car. This isn't promising for Black, who steams down the hill. I think he might struggle to stop the car here. And yes, the corner that he crashed on is the corner that he will DNF on. Black goes and joins Yellow snugly in the tyre barrier there. And he is now also out of the race. As we look towards the leaders, who are now on the back straight for the penultimate lap of this race, and Red is starting to build a gap again. Blue's going to have to do a lot if he wants to snatch the win here, but those lead three are quite separated from each other. So I think this order might be the order that we finish in here in West Coast USA Racetrack. This braking zone is just about the last tricky part of this circuit, and all the cars navigate it perfectly fine. As you can hear the hum of now two cars in the tyre barrier. And Red is comfortably in front, having led most of this race and only being challenged by Blue at occasions. Approaching the Big Dipper, let's see if we can see the first overtake in that corner. Despite looking very cool, it doesn't really seem to have many passing opportunities, probably because the line they take to get through it, to actually make it through, is so narrow. After that crash, we're now in the closing stages of the race, as the cars zoom through the last section, and we will now begin the final lap of this race. This is the final lap, so this is the last chance for anyone to make overtakes, but we only have 5 cars alive right now, and Blue is very close to the back of Red here. Might have a chance as they go past the stricken green car there, and everyone seems to make it through safely. Yes, everyone is still running as green rolls slowly onto the racing line, but red is ahead and quite a bit ahead of blue there. Blue must have made a mistake or something because they're falling a little bit back as we approach the chicane, the last realistic overtaking opportunity for the track, and blue has good pace on red right there, but red manages to stay ahead, and we go into the chicane. There's smoke coming from red's tyres, and red looks a little squirrely, and blue gets good drive but still stays behind red there, and will have to settle for second for now. But the opportunities that blue will have to overtake red are going away now, disappearing as they go through the long back straight, full speed, pedal to the metal, around the slight bend and into the hilly braking zone, which has caused many drives to spin out and one to crash horribly. But I think all of these drivers have shown their skill today, and as we look from the bird's eye view, all of the cars navigate through it safe and sound as red leads the charge. Probably deserved considering what happened to the last race, but it is still hard to see blue robbed of yet another victory. Cyan still getting some strong points, Lime doing better than what he has in the past, surviving this race round, and Orange keeping some decent consistency for the championship fight. He hasn't been doing particularly well, finding himself last in the surviving runners most of the time, but all the focus this race will be on red as he navigates the final corners. It's been a tough couple of races, but red will come across the line as the winner of the West Coast race, followed by blue. An astounding performance from him from pole, but not what he would have wanted. Cyan gets a solid podium again. That's 3 on the row for him, and Lime and Orange finished 4th and 5th respectively. Cyan still leads the championship with 60 points now. That's averaging 15 points a race, which is effectively averaging 3rd. So that's very strong from him. The gap to the next driver is the same as it was earlier. Another 9 points to red now, who has jumped a lot of positions, 7 positions. And blue also making big gains there up the order. And orange remains consistent in 4th. The other finisher of the race was Lime in 5th with 42 points, trailing the leader now by 18. Green is on 40, black in 7th with 36. Not being able to score well today because of that massive crash that he suffered, the biggest of the series. His qualifying best is still only 8th. Let's hope that changes for the next race. And then we have pink, who had a disappointing race, same with yellow. They both find themselves at the bottom of the order. And then there's purple, who is half of the points of the next driver above him. He is having a shocking season, but that's your standings a quarter of the way through the season. I hope you can come back for the next race in West Coast, which could either be near the quarry in the hills, in the city, or on the island. If you really want me to do one of those options, comment below and I will listen and probably do that. At the moment I'm leaning towards the quarry though, because the test runs have been very good on there. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you can come back and watch along for the next race to cheer your favourite colour on in another thrilling race. Well, that's it for today. Bye for now.